Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is a case where there's one panel that people have seen over and over, and they like to they want to know the origin behind this panel. I think it's appeared more frequently than the comic itself at this point on the internet. So this is a review of a comic for a panel. Now, which comic are we talking about? Well, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 215. This came out in April 1981, and it's basically a story of Spider-Man and Namor teaming up to take down the Frightful Four. And the Frightful Four in this case, this version of it, is the Wizard, Lyra, Sandman, and the Trapster. And basically, and by the way, our writer here, Dennis O'Neil, our penciler, John Romita Jr., who is still, of course, very active in comics right now, doing stuff with Superman and everything else. This comic, I mean, it's kind of a typical comic for Amazing Spider-Man in the 80s. But again, there's this one panel, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when we get to it. And unfortunately, it comes early, so we'll get right through that. So basically, our comic opens that Spider-Man and Namor are in deep trouble. The tracer device that the Wizard has made, he's blasted with them. The heroes are on the ropes, and the Frightful Four basically turn to gloating. It's that classic, the villain. We've got him, and we can gloat. And there's a couple odd comments right away. I mean, the Wizard and Lyra are kind of running the show here, and then Trapster's like, "Let's a Trapster put a hurting on him." I like how the villains always talked in the first person, in the first person about themselves, and then Sandman's like, "Yeah, the Sandman can stand a little exercise too." I'm fat shaming yourself, okay? But and plus you're made of sand. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, the Trapster and the Sandman. Sandman's just in one of his funkier costumes for sure. They're just randomly kind of punching and beating up Namor and Spider-Man, who are completely helpless. And as Lyra and Wizard are kind of trying to figure out, what should we do next? I don't know. How we beat him? It's just like, go get a Big Mac, I guess. What do you do? So the heroes attempt to come back and fight back, but they're made short work of, and then immediately we get to this famous panel, which is basically the Sandman appears to be just blasting Spider-Man right in the butt. And there's no gentle way to kind of put this. I'd love to know what John Romita Jr. was thinking when he drew this. A lot of people have commented about kind of like the strange faces, the way he's drawn people very angular for some of the DC comics lately. But here's a case where the Trapster's given Namor a good old knee to the face, and the Sandman is, I don't know, he's going for full anal penetration by the look of things. But and of course, as you can imagine, that puts these characters down for the count. But there you go. There's one answer right there at the beginning. What was this panel? What was the Sandman doing? Well, he was beating up Spider-Man, and apparently the best way to put him down is to insert a sand fist right in the pooper. So I even the little caption here, and so they are easy prey, bam, right in the butt. Anyway. So there you go. So meanwhile, at a fine hotel, there is the police are investigating this giant hole in the wall. Nothing weird about that. And as the villains continue to kind of, they've now hauled the heroes up to a roof and are kind of, stomping them some more. Like, we're done kicking them, and now we'll start stomping them. They're kind of lazy villains at this point. But Spider-Man uses the opportunity to web up the Frightful Four. And this causes the bad guys to flee for very strange reasons. So the police show up and in helicopters, and they've got webs on their faces and on the gun. And Spider-Man and Namor still kind of dizzy, looking around. Namor flies off to in shame, basically, that he's been defeated, and he needs to go back to the waters of his home to heal, but it's not quite working out the way he wants. Spider-Man, meanwhile, he's beat up, and he's in very bad shape. So he knows he needs some help. He needs some tender, loving care. So he takes off the costume, gets back to be Peter, and he goes to visit his friend and his gorgeous new girlfriend, who's this mysterious woman that who's staying in this hotel with a giant hole in the wall of it. So fortunately, like New York contractors work fast. Like an hour later, they're patching up that wall. But Peter's like still screwed up, and he's like, I'm feeling worse. I gotta find somebody. I know. Maybe I'll go find Debbie Whitman. Now, who's Debbie Whitman? She was this girl who was really into Peter, and so he knocks on her door, and she immediately is worried. She puts him on the couch. She takes care of him. She says, no, as long you stay as long as you need, Peter. I'll stay with you. And so 14 hours and 17 minutes later, why that amount of time? So that's okay. That's how Denny O'Neil wrote it. But anyway, Peter wakes up and says, and she has made like this full blown breakfast: pancakes, ham, sausage, bacon, home fries, apple pie, and coffee. She's like been working for the last like 3 hours. She's doctored him up, healed him, and is really trying to take care of it. So how does Peter repay her? He's like, hey, what time is it? And she's like, it's a little past 4. He's like, oh, I'm going to rain check on this. She even says she got tickets to a Broadway show. So not only did she take care of him for 14 hours and heal him up, cook him this amazing breakfast, she bought tickets for the two of them. She's clearly into him. But anyway, he's like, I got to run. Better skip breakfast too. And I'll call you in a couple days. By the way, thanks, as he walks out the door. And she's like, don't mention it. Don't dare. And it's like, this is the biggest dick move that we've seen from Peter. And granted, in these comics are a lot of, bad Peter or bad Parker luck. But this is Peter like clearly just being an ass. So he leaves the apartment wondering where his new girlfriend is, and hope she's all right. There's a hole in the wall. So he's like, oh, wait a minute, I can't phone her. I don't even know her name. And he's like, I'm completely in love with this girl, but I don't know her name. I don't know her phone number. I don't know anything about myself. That seems weird, but whatever. He's still like dazed. Like they're drawing little sparkles around his head. So it's like, oh no. It's like, so he dresses back up as Spidey because he's like, he figures that might be better. So he decides to swing back up to this hotel room that previously had like a hole in the wall, and but she moved to a different room, and so this girlfriend is basically Lyra. So it's the villain of the Frightful Four, and she is she's still hanging out with Sandman, who's having a cigar. Probably having the cigar is what's getting him in bad shape. I mean, he's saying he needs to work out. I mean, stop with the cigar. So Namor is basically healed down, and they remind him of Lyra and kind of the whole history there and the whole backstory. And Namor's like, okay, now I know what I need to do to defeat her. Spider-Man finally makes it to the apartment where his new mysterious girlfriend is, and he shows up in a room only to be punched in the back of the head. And I guess he should be thankful it's the back of the head this time by the Sandman. So he gets bound up, and he's like, what's going on? And they continue to just kind of toy with him. They put like one of the anti-gravity discs on him, and they're just going to chuck him out the window to, fly off into space, basically. But Namor shoots up, rescues him, and they go back through. Namor basically, this is meant to be, I think, the Waldorf Astoria. They don't say the name, but the architecture looks like it here in New York. And Namor promptly makes another giant hole in the wall because he's a dick. And he punches the Sandman so hard in the gut that like all the sand shoots out of every extremity, and he just kind of explodes. And they continue to kind of battle away. The room is just absolutely trashed. Namor makes short work of the trapster, and Spider-Man is like, he's still kind of wondering, what happened to my girl? Where did she go? I need a scientist. We got to figure out what's going on. Because basically Namor's got Spider-Man spider sense. Somehow it's kind of swapped. So Namor heads over to the Fantastic Four to work on this. They proceed to do a little mind swap here. And Spider-Man's so happy, he says, success, I've got that old Spidey tingle back. So for all the people who are pissed at the MCU introducing that term, no, it was actually back here in the 80s. This Spidey tingle is there. So Namor begrudgingly thanks Reed because he wasn't able to bang Reed's wife this time, but he's still thankful. So Spider-Man is like, better go find out where my girl is. He goes to see her, but his spider sense is going crazy. He's like, oh man, Richards must have fouled up. But she comes at him with a knife, And he's like, he starts to suspect this mysterious girlfriend that he's been with is not who she thinks she is, who he thinks she is. So she now says, surely you've guessed the charming girl who enthralled you is not even human. She's Lyra. Oh, ho, ho. And Spider-Man's like, oh, man, that's not getting... And what's weird is she went at him with a knife and she attacked him. And then she, basically is like, you are weak and stupid. I leave you to contemplate your humiliation. She just kind of strolls out the door. And Spider-Man's just kind of standing there hunched over. He's like, well, you got me. I'm dumb. And he's okay. He's like, I'll just let this villain go. Whatever. But Namor, it is not the same. And he flies through the window and just punches her right in the face. And knocks her solidly out and hauls her off to Atlantis. While Spider-Man's like, man, this sucks. This girl. And he's like, you were under a spell. You could not see the obvious. She tricked you. She catfished you here, basically. And Spider-Man's like, man, I was in love with her, and she rubbed my nose in it. I betrayed everything that I am in the process. I even dumped on Debbie. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can still make it up for her. Maybe I can. Maybe she'll forgive me. The answer was no. That was enough for Debbie. Debbie basically moved on, and she showed up briefly later in Peter David's run, but it was in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book. But this was. But yeah, Peter was a super dick. He would just he kind of deserved that punch right in the bum is basically. But at any rate, that was kind of the end of all this. But there you go. There is the story you've been wondering about. How did Spider-Man find himself in this position where he was punched right in the butt? There you go. That's how. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little stroll down memory lane as much as I did, and that answers this long-awaited internet meme question that we've all had. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, why not? It's okay if you do. I promise it won't hurt. If you thought you subscribed once upon a time, you might want to check that again, because randomly YouTube just decides to remove people for reasons only they know. But otherwise, hey, if you enjoyed the video, like it. If you hated the video, don't like it. If you don't like Spider-Man get pushed in the butt, go dislike something on Marvel, because I didn't write that. Otherwise, most importantly, thanks for listening.